And we've got the green light. It is 7:30 or so. This is the City of Brainerd City Council. It's Monday. It's October 17th, 2022. And I call the meeting to order. Administrator Bergman, please call the roll.
Stunek.
Here.
Johnson.
Present.
Beezer.
Here.
Stengline.
Here.
Erickson.
Here.
O'Day.
Here.
Bevins.
Here.
And Bedot.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 4 is the approval of the agenda. We've got a request from the Community Development Director Kramvik to add this thing that is in front of you. It is adopting an additional resolution declaring assessments and ordering a public hearing for nuisance assessments on November 7th. We'd like to add this to the agenda under unfinished business. Is there a motion to approve the amended agenda?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion by Stunek, a second by Tiffany. Any discussion? Any additional? Then all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. We are underway. Item 5 is the consent calendar. All matters listed are considered routine by the council, will be enacted by one motion. There'll be no separate discussion of these items unless good cause is shown prior to the time the council votes on the motion to be adopted by roll call. Is there a motion to adopt the consent calendar?
So move, Johnson.
Second.
Motion by Johnson, second by Erickson. Any discussion? Hearing none, Administrator Bergman, please call the roll.
Stunek. Johnson. Beezer.
Yes.
Stengline.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
O'Day.
Yes.
And Bevins.
Yes. That resolution is adopted. Next up is item 7, unfinished business. So we'll do 7A. Wait.
Not gonna do committee reports?
No, we're really going to get this done quick tonight. Yes.
All that effort we went through downstairs, they're gonna eliminate us.
No, I think we'll just eliminate P&F.
Okay, there goes the budget.
Item 6A, Personal and Finance Committee. Thank you, Mr. Stunek. Item 6A, Personal and Finance Committee Chairman Gabe Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have 5 items on the agenda tonight, the first of which is to accept with regret the resignation of engineering technician Justin Larson, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion by Johnson, a second by Stunek. Any discussion? Chairman
Sorry,
Johnson.
Mr. President, I forgot to include in the motion, but the intent was also to authorize staff to start the hiring process to backfill that position.
Thank you. Second, okay with that?
I'm approving that too.
Right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Next up is approve the promotion of Crystal Gauthier to Transit Coordinator, and the motion is to approve the promotion of Crystal Gauthier to the Transit Coordinator position effective October 18th, 2022, and that should be placed on Step 2, $36.13 per hour of the Transit Coordinator wage grid, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion by Johnson, a second by Stengline. Any discussion? Chairman Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Crystal was our one internal application. Remember, we authorized to post this internally. At this time, we are not backfilling the position she previously held in the transit office. We're going to try and run it with just one employee and have some of the administrative staff from other departments help out.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Please proceed.
Thank you. Next up, we considered the classification and compensation study proposals. And the motion out of committee is to accept Flaherty and Hood PA's classification and compensation study proposal, including the additional service options as identified in the proposal in an amount not to exceed $53,250. And I so move.
Second.
Motion by Johnson, second by Stunek. Chairman Johnson.
Yeah, Mr. President, we did receive 3 proposals, and this one was pretty clearly the best for what we're looking for and what we're trying to accomplish in the city. We do have $45,000 budgeted, and we'll get an additional $10,000 from Sourcewell, so this $53,250 will be right under what we have budgeted and available to pay for the study.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Please proceed.
Thank you. Next up was discussion of the civil attorney contract for the next 2 years, and the motion is to authorize staff to enter an agreement with Ratwick, Rozak, and Maloney for 2023 and 2024, and I so move.
Second.
Motion by Johnson, second by Stengline. Any discussion? Chairman Johnson.
Yep, so what's it called? The retainer for 2022 is staying flat in 2023 and then going up at $2,000 from $53,000 to $55,000 in 2024. And their non-retainer services are going up by $5 to $10 per hour in a few different categories, as is stated in the memo.
Excellent. Any further discussion? I mean, not excellent that they're going up, but thank you for the report. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Please proceed.
Thank you. The final item is we have a resolution establishing deferred assessment criteria, and the motion is to adopt the proposed resolution establishing criteria for deferment of assessments, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion by Johnson, second by Stunek. Any discussion? Chairman Johnson?
Yeah, so, Mr. President, there's a few changes we made to the existing policy. One is the median household value in the city in 2022 is $173,800. The last time we had adjusted this 6 or so years ago, it was $110,000, so we're adjusting the value up to get a deferred assessment. We got rid of staff they did a great job looking through this, but they got rid of the total assets can't exceed $25,000 because we have no way of certifying how many assets any individual has. But then for the deferment, a person who is 65 and older, for whom it would be a financial hardship to make the payments, a person who is retired by permanent and total disability, a person who is an active member of the Minnesota National Guard, or D, a veteran, and received a market value exclusion for veteran with disability through Crow Wing County, and for whom it would be a hardship to make the payments, are the four. And then there's a fifth catch-all, notwithstanding anything else, the city council can look at things that are out of the ordinary, that are a unique hardship, and we can still grant deferments if it doesn't fit any of those exact things. But administratively, staff can do it with those, and that'll be the majority of deferments in the city of Brainerd.
Excellent. Any further discussion? Hearing none, this is a resolution. Administrator Bergman, please call the roll.
Stunek.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Beazer.
Yes.
Stengline.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
O'Day.
Yes.
And Bevins.
Yes. Mr. Chair?
End of report.
Thank you very much. Item 6B is Safety and Public Works Committee. Chairman Mike O'Day.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had 11 items on SPW tonight. First of which was a street closure application for the Spooktacular. This is downtown Brainerd on October 29th from 2022 from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. The street closure, I believe, is just between Laurel and Front Street on 7th Street downtown. There will be some vendors, all kinds of spooky, fun stuff for Halloween. Motion coming out of the committee was to recommend approval of the attached event and street closure application with the conditions listed within the application. I so move.
Motion by Day, no second.
Second.
Oh, my goodness, there we are. Second by Beazer.
Spent half the meeting waiting for seconds.
I know.
P and F will help you if you need help.
Yeah, if you need help, Stunek's down there. Any discussion on Spooktacular? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Next item was a alley closure event application for Zion Lutheran Church trunk or treat. This is the following day, October 30th from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. They just had a technicality. It's basically part of the parking lot, but the north-south section of their alley will be closed for the trunk or treat, and the east-west alley behind Little Caesars will stay open. So motion coming out of committee was to approve the attached application with the conditions as presented. I so move.
Second.
Motion by O'Day, second by Erickson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Next item was discussion on downtown snow removal and special services district. Motion coming out of committee was to recommend setting a public hearing for November 7th, 2022 at 7:30 p.m., and I so move.
Motion by O'Day, second by Beazer. Any discussion? Chairman O'Day?
Yeah, so we went over possible changes. We didn't really dive deep into what we would maybe want to change, but there's definitely been some increase in costs related to snow removal in the special.
This is
services
just setting the public hearing.
This is just setting a public hearing.
That's
for
it.
Them to come tell us whether or not they want to continue this or not.
Right on. So any discussion on the date and time of the public hearing?
That will be November 7th, 2022, 7:30 PM right here.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the date and time? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. This discussion on the North Third Street sidewalk took the majority of our time, deciding if we wanted to continue that sidewalk that stops halfway between at least Ivy and Juniper, go all the way to Juniper, or go all the way across one more block to Kingwood. That was staff's recommendation. Option number 4, doing both blocks, fully connecting those sidewalks. We did hear from one of those resident property owners that he did not want the sidewalk to come through his yard, and he's spoken of it in the past. Basically, what it came down to is a motion coming out of committee to go with option number 3, to extend that sidewalk 1/2 block. And I so move.
Motion by O'Day, is there a second?
Second, Erickson.
Second by Erickson. Any discussion? You got it. Let me.
Yeah, so the whole reason why this took forever is because I started to talk, so it slowed us down.
Always.
Of course it did. This is a process that had been in place for a long time. Last fall, Paul Sandy and myself had a long discussion about sidewalks in North Brainerd, specifically because we were losing the Walkable Bikeable Committee. And I took the task on myself of walking every street in North Brainerd and doing assessment of where we thought sidewalks should and should not go. The main key being to not have dead ends like is what is presented here. Within that, our decision was just to remove the sidewalk that is in place there and not have sidewalk for those handful of blocks. However, we had people come forward and say that they would like to keep that sidewalk that's in front of their house. But one of the things that I do feel strongly about is the house south of Juniper has asked not to have a sidewalk there. They're going to lose some trees. They're going to have some issues with their driveway. They just said it would be really nice to not have that sidewalk continue there. One of the things that I'm adamant about is that I don't like the idea that we're just putting in sidewalks because we want to have matching sidewalks on both sides of the street. I don't think that that is a hardship in order to cross the street. But I do like the idea of making sure that we have pathways that are connected. So in this, and in the process of looking at the street last fall when we had our public hearing, that same property owner did come forward and ask that we not continue that sidewalk through there. That's why that change was made at the time. And so I do continue to support that. But again, I love sidewalks. I think they're great. I think that there's a cost associated with it, and there's also the need to understand that some property owners aren't necessarily always looking to have that be directly in front of their house, and we need to respect the people that own the properties.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any other discussion? Mr. Beazer?
I differ a bit on this topic, largely because North Third Street, it is a main access into the hospital. It is a different designation of road. And you know, quite frankly, the walkability score of this neighborhood north of Washington, at a national level, it ranks less than average. It's below average. I think the timeliness of this project and including this in this effort, the timeliness is appropriate. And I was encouraged by Mr. Dean's research into this and being able to identify that the amount of trees that would be lost are a couple. And working with the homeowner would be a priority, you know, to make things right. So I support the option 4.
Thank you. Any further discussion? I just have one question, Mr. Chair. The crossing at North Third, the RRFB crossing, that's not part of this motion?
Not part of the motion. We did not make a decision on that, on the RRFB for tonight, but we'll have to make that decision in the next meeting or two.
Okay.
We'll bring it back.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, the motion is to option 3. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
That motion carries. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Next item was a resolution approving Title VI program plan. Recommendation was to approve the resolution endorsing the transit program's Title VI program, and I so move.
Motion by O'Day, second by Beazer. Any discussion? Mr. Chair, and then Mr. Erickson.
Actually, I will defer to Erickson on this one.
Well,
You know
I would-
more about it than I do, I'm sure.
Okay, Mr. Erickson.
I was just gonna say, we skipped an item, so point of order, but we can,
Yeah,
number 5.
discussion of number 5, approving the Title VI program. I believe that's where we're at.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, if, what's that?
Do I have a different agenda than the rest of you guys?
Item 5 is adopting a resolution approving the Title VI program plan.
Is that what I just read?
Yeah,
Perhaps I misheard.
Okay.
I apologize.
Okay.
no, it's okay. Thank
Thought I
you.
was going insane for a second.
Better-
That happened a long time ago.
Better to double check.
on this
So we are on item 5, adopting a resolution approving the Title VI program plan. We have a motion to adopt by O'Day, second by Beazer? Beazer. Any discussion on that?
Do you want to know what it is?
Sure.
It's a anti-discrimination. It's basically saying, we agree, we don't want to discriminate against people. And the federal government wants to hear that, and we're signing that.
Excellent. Any further discussion on item 5, the Title VI program? Hearing none, this is a resolution. Administrator Bergman, please call the roll.
Stunek.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yeah.
Beazer.
Yes.
Stengline.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
O'Day.
Yes.
And Bevins.
Yes, that resolution is adopted. Please proceed to item 6.
Thank you, Mr. President.
7.
Yeah, I think we're on number 6 right now.
Yeah.
This is approval of the Transit Capital Vehicle Grant Agreement for the 2022 bus purchase. The city's allocated share, local cost share is only 10%, but that still puts us at $13,100 for this bus. Motion coming out of committee was to recommend executing the agreement with the FTA and MnDOT Transit for the purchase of the 2022 budgeted bus at a local cost of $13,100, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion by O'Day, a second by Erickson. Any discussion on the bus?
I can tell you, we probably won't see it until 2025.
Thank you. What great news.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Next one was approval of HR Green contract amendment for the Buffalo Hills Gully project. Just to fill you in, this is a project that's already ongoing. We're in a contract with HR Green to do basically the research and how to fix this problem with this giant gully in Buffalo Hills. This contract amendment does not include any cost changes. It's just basically identifying the preparation of easements and making sure we stay within our boundaries that we are allowed to stay in. So motion coming out of the committee was to approve the contract amendment as presented. I so move.
Second.
We have a motion by O'Day, a second by Beazer. Any discussion on the contract amendment with HR Green? Mr. Mayor.
Just a general comment about the gully. I don't appreciate that we are taking on a precedent of taking responsibility for million-year-old depressions.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. 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 Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Next item was a approval of a proposal from Widseth for engineering services for SPRA Lum Park Road project. We did receive 3 proposals, one from Bolton and Mink for $71,244, one from Widseth for $89,628, and one from WSB for $59,902. These proposals for this road, which is the Lum Park Road leading from the highway all the way into the landing, engineering services. These proposals were scored, and Widseth's, although it's the most expensive, scored so much higher that staff decided to recommend taking that proposal over the other 2. And one of the others scored so low, it wasn't even really considered. So motion coming out of committee was to approve the proposal from Widseth for engineering services for the Lum Park Road reconstruction project in the amount not to exceed $89,628, and I so move.
Second, Erickson.
We have a motion by O'Day, a second by Erickson. Any discussion? Mr. Beazer.
I just want to state that as an employee of Widseth, on this motion, I will abstain, or on
Fair
this
enough.
vote.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion passes with one abstention. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Item number 9 was a resolution approving the agreement with the Crow Wing County and SPRA Lum Park Road project. This is basically the way the money from this grant that is helping us with this road is distributed. The county has to handle that grant money, has to go through them, and before it comes to the city to pay for this road. So staff recommends approving the resolution for Crow Wing County to act as the fiscal agent on behalf of the city for the SPRA funding, and I so move.
Second, Erickson.
We have a motion by O'Day, a second by Erickson. Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none, Administrator Bergman, please call the roll.
Stunek. Johnson. Beazer.
Yes.
Stengline.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
O'Day.
Yes.
And Bevins.
Yes, that resolution is adopted. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Next was a resolution for an alley vacation, just to set the public hearing. This is for blocks M and E of West Brainerd. Motion coming out of committee was to adopt a attached resolution declaring that the petition is sufficient and sets the public hearing on the proposal vacation for November 7th, 2022 at 7:30 PM, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion by O'Day, a second by Beazer. Any discussion on setting the public hearing for the alley vacation? Any discussion for setting the public hearing on the alley vacation? Hearing none. Administrator Bergman, please call the roll.
Stunek.
Yes.
Johnson. Beazer.
Yes.
Stengline.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
O'Day.
Yes.
And Bevins.
Yes, that resolution is adopted. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Last item on our agenda was direction on active code enforcement. We just had one case. This has been an ongoing case through this second half of the summer, I would say, involving the file for 401 Holly Street. Two neighbors in dispute over a fence line, type of fence, where the fence should be moved. In discussion, we spoke about how much work it is. There's a lot that goes into this one. You can watch back on previous meetings if you want to know more, or we can keep chatting about it. But the motion coming out of committee was to cease corrective action, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion by O'Day, a second by Erickson. Any discussion?
Mr. President, I'll
Yeah.
add to, so I made the motion out in committee to cease corrective action, given that we really don't know where the property line is. And so if we're going to take action requiring somebody to move their fence where we don't know where the property line is, I don't think that's in our best interest. So I will be supporting the motion to cease corrective action.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion on item 11? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Aye. That motion carries. Please proceed.
End of report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item 7 is unfinished business. Item 7A is adopting a resolution for assessment for the 2022 nuisance abatement and 2021-2022 downtown special services assessment. Mr. Dean, are you taking this? Is there anything you wish to add to what is in our packet?
No, sir, Mr. President.
Okay. So this is a public hearing, correct? Oh, Mr. Krambeck.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. So
It says Mr. Dean on my packet.
There's both.
I thought it maybe said both, but,
It doesn't.
oh, okay.
Presenter.
So I just did want to clarify, I did include a memo on 2 properties that staff is recommending the nuisance assessments be waived. So the first one is 516 First Avenue Northeast. So staff believes there was a miscommunication. They did reach out to us after receiving the nuisance abatement letter for the amount to be abated on the property. So we believe there's a miscommunication on the timeline of when they had to finish it. They did keep in contact early in the spring and have worked to correct some of the issues on the property. Not everything has been corrected at this time. But they have shown a willingness to work with the city to address the issue. So that's the first one. I believe it's an $800 amount on that property. The second one of 923 9th Avenue Northeast. So staff agreed to waive the citations for junk and debris if the property owner cleaned up the site. So this property was cleaned very thoroughly. And is in compliance, but because of the date of reinspection of 9/23/2022, the citations could not be removed administratively. The outstanding citation amount is $125. So within that motion, staff is recommending waiving all nuisance abatements for PIDs 4119-1552 and 4119-1107. I can certainly answer any questions.
Any questions of Mr. Krambeck? Any questions of Mr. Krambeck? Hearing none, I apologize, this is not a public hearing. So the staff is recommending that we adopt the attached resolution, declares the cost to be no, I'm reading that incorrectly. I apologize. The staff is recommending that we hold a public hearing tonight, Mr. Krambeck?
That's correct.
All right, and we have notified the public of this?
Mr. President, yep, so we did send out notice of hearings and published notice of hearing for tonight to adopt last year's assessment. If there are contested assessments, we do ask that the council still adopt the assessments as they are shown in the rolls. We would hold a second meeting to address those contested assessments. We have essentially a 30-day payment clock after the adoption of the resolution tonight to allow for contested assessments, if any.
Right. Can I clarify? You're looking to adopt or to hold a public testimony tonight, and then you're recommending we adopt them all, including these two, and then remove them? No. What are you recommending, Mr. Dean?
You are
That's
able
why I
to-
went to you first, because you're on here.
You are able to remove the the two properties as Director Krambeck listed. If you
Okay. So first, you want to hold the public hearing?
Correct.
Okay. With no objections from the council, we will open the public hearing on all of the nuisance assessments at 7:58. If you're here to testify against or for, or want to give your neighbor more public nuisance assessments, you come forward, you state your name and your address, and tell us what you have to say. Okay? Be orderly, be kind. You can't cheer or boo. Come on up, one at a time, or get in line over there.
Yeah, I'll get this done. Mike Theon, you guys sent me this letter for $125. I wanna know what it's about. Something about a little paint chip?
So we would have to look into that.
Mr. Thielen, if you've got a question of staff, you're welcome to ask it.
Yeah, I
But
wanna know
we-
why I'm being harassed on this property that I rent out on second northeast.
Easy breezy. You've got a nuisance.
Yeah.
It's stated what the nuisance is in that letter.
I would like to know what it is.
Okay.
Can I give it to you?
Yeah, you please.
Yeah. But they even had my renter cut down, what kind of flowers are they?
They were daylilies.
Daylilies, because they're too high, they said. All your roundabouts got daylilies.
Oh, hey, Mr. Thielen, can you give us your name and address? Just because we're on TV and taping this.
Mike Thielen, 4117 Sunset View Road, Nisswa, Minnesota. That's my rental property in 218.
Okay, so I can explain this. This is the assessment letter. So it doesn't state what the nuisance was. That would have been on a previous letter. So that part I can't help you with because that
I don't know
one
what that is.
Well-
All I know is I talked to somebody at the hall. They told me that there's a little paint chip. I said, I just busted my shoulder, all 5 muscle groups. I go, I can't get it right now. 3 weeks later, I went over there in OxyContin and I fixed it. That wasn't good enough for them. a fence fell over that I know wasn't on my property. They're threatening me to fine me for that. I went over there and moved that fence. You guys haven't proved to me yet who owns that fence. But I was a good guy and went over there and moved that fence. And then I get this a year later, after I fixed it in the mail.
Okay. So you're arguing against that you,
Oh, you bet.
all right,
It's not about the money, it's the principle with me.
understood.
I'll guarantee you that.
I apologize, I didn't hear your name and address, and could you do it one more time?
Mike Thielen,
Yep, and the address. is-
4117 Sunset View Road, that's where I live. This is 218 Northeast Rental House.
Okay, 218.
And I got so
What
pissed off
street?
about this. She's been a good renter. She works for
She volunteered with Crisis.
the crisis line.
Yeah,
She's been getting harassed by the cities about everything. So I tell you what, I couldn't take it anymore. I said, get out of my house. I'm selling the property. So then I'll be in compliant with Brainerd. I mean, it just pissed me off so much. I don't got time for this, guys.
okay. What's the address of the property?
2nd Avenue Northeast.
Okay, 218 2nd Avenue Northeast.
Or is it 208?
I don't know.
It's 218.
218? Yeah.
218 2nd Avenue Northeast.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
And get me some information what the violation was.
Oh, they can't do that right now.
I know,
Okay, just. so
but I
you
don't
know.
want to come back here another week and argue this.
I understand.
So you guys just, because it's been fixed
I-
a year ago.
Okay,
Is this going away now, or do I got,
not tonight.
there's a lot
And
of people, you guys should be able to make some decision.
Mr. President, can I take a stab at this?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead, Gabe?
All right. So tonight, you're contesting this $125.
That's right.
So
I
then
fixed it,
what-
and I
what-
went above and beyond and
what's
fixed
li-
the
Let me
fence.
explain the process to you. What's likely to happen here is everything that's contested tonight, we will set aside for staff to work with the property owners over the next month. And if it was fixed a year ago, we won't charge you the $125. But we can't solve that tonight. But since you've contested it, we'll set it aside and have staff work.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody else wish to testify to the council on the nuisance assessments? Come on up. And please state your name and your address.
Okay, I'm Anna Marie Bell. I'm the daughter of Gregory and Dawn Gaken at the address of 923 9th Avenue.
Okay,
Northeast.
923 9th Avenue. And what is your testimony?
I have worked with the city and I've kept in contact and they've actually been very courteous to bring in the charge from like $700 down to $125. However, and we've completely cleaned up, like they said, a spectacular job of the yard is completely cleaned and I kind of, I'm contesting the 125 due to both my mom and her husband her husband is like not able to walk at all, neither is my mother. And it was the people that have all actually been kicked off the property completely and out of the house. And to back that, I've also made a vulnerable adult complaint, which has also gone, and the police department has granted the 4 adults being trespassed out of the yard, so they're not even allowed to even come into the yard. So what I'm trying to ask for is that due to a lot of damage that's been done, and I have quotes and I have stuff that's it's thousands of dollars of property damage that these people have done, and they're both vets and they both get Social Security and they cannot afford, like we've already got a sub pump that we have to put in for $1,600 and they cannot afford any more bills. So I'm asking that the 125, because we did such a good job, that it just go away. Because they obviously couldn't carry the stuff out into the yard themselves. They can't even walk, So I'm just asking that. And if someone needs to be charged for it, that these 4 adults or whatever get charged for it and not my mom or
Okay.
husband.
Thank you. You heard the procedure, what's going to happen next, or what we expect to happen next.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope, that's all.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Come on up, state your name, your address. If it's a different property address, we'll need that too.
Okay, Matt Jager at 9206 North Town Street. I I guess I got a letter a while ago saying I have expired tabs and it's a nuisance in the driveway. I've had 2 cars there, one over the winter. I was volunteer at Teen Challenge, I was mentoring a kid, and he ended up relapsing, and he has a title for it. I did everything I could. I tried finding the guy, wasn't able to. I got another letter, I guess, that the one that I actually opened said that I had a fine to pay, and I called the city, I figured it out, got the car moved, towed it out, and then I called and I'm like, is there anything else I have to do? And they said, no, it's closed. So I was under the assumption that it was all taken care of, nothing further needed to be done. And then I got a letter in the mail saying I have like a $760 some fine. So I guess I've never done this. I don't know what to ask for, what to do. Kathy Thiessen and Chad Paulson are my neighbors. He's the administrative sergeant, I believe. And I asked them about this and they had no idea that tabs needed to be current, I guess. So I guess I'm just asking for maybe for mercy or grace, or I don't even know what I'm asking for. So
It seems like you're asking for some relief.
yeah,
All right.
relief would be great. I'd appreciate
I
anything.
presume that's why you're here. I don't want to put
Yeah.
words in your mouth.
No,
You're not
yeah,
asking, you're not
I
asking
appreciate
to,
some relief.
you're not
so-
asking to pay everybody's fine.
No, that's
Okay,
probably not
just
the case.
checking.
So yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Anything
Yes.
else?
No.
So you heard the procedure. We're going to vote on all the assessments.
Yep.
And it's possible, as Mr. Johnson said, that we may pull some or all of the requested ones aside to relook at.
Okay.
Can't answer that until we go to that
Yep, I
point.
understand, so.
But this is where you get to
I just
ask.
kind of wanted to share what was going
Hang
on
on.
behind it.
There'll
So.
be more to come tonight.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
Anybody else? Support. Come on up. It's okay.
I'm gonna have a long one, so I'll kind of wait until these guys get done so they can leave.
Sure.
I'm at 1720 Laurel Street in Brainerd,
And your name?
Rory Parker.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Parker.
Yeah, I've been kind of slacking off. You know, the city's been sending me letters about my roof.
Uh-huh.
And I should have been taking care of it more. I got pictures of what I did this summer, you know.
Right.
I've been doing stuff to it. It's kind of my own fault. You know, I should have been after it more. But no, this summer I've been, you know, doing it, and I should have kept contacting the city better.
Mm-hmm.
And, so I just want to let you know I'm, you know, trying, you know, so I've got pictures here showing that. But,
Okay. Are those pictures you want to give to us tonight? Or
Yeah, but-
maybe you'll hold on to them, and when it's your turn to talk to staff, then you'll have them?
okay.
All right, you hang on to them for now. Thank you, Mr. Parker. Next up?
Don Wallace Goodrich. I live in 14639 Ridgeway Road, Cross Lake, Minnesota. And the property that we're talking about is O on here,
Oak?
just O, but it's on 4th Avenue Northeast, across from Lowell School.
What is the actual
There's
address?
no address.
There's no
It's
address.
just an open lot with a garage on it.
Okay,
So it's an O. And anyway, I've owned it for a few years, and I've used it as storage and different things like that. And quite recently, I've been getting letters dated to my P.O. box in Breezy Point, which I no longer have.
okay.
But I got this letter with the abatement, looked at it and went, well, I don't know what this is all about. And then 3 days or a week or so later, West Brainerd Amoco calls and says, we have all your stuff. What's all my stuff? Well, I have my trailers and different things. They towed everything off my property.
Uh-huh.
So obviously I was not in compliance with what the city wanted. And they had everything down there. I was able to get down there, paid them $700 and some for the towing fees, and removed it. Since then, the property's cleaned up. And if I can't use it as what I was using it for, I won't. So I apologize for not getting half the messages I should have gotten, but the one I got is here, and then they want $1,400 and 25 cents abatement fees. And I'm here to say, help me out with that. I paid over $700 for the towing fees for things that were on the property, which are no longer. And I don't know, I guess I'll go from there, see what you guys can do or help out. I'm not responsible, I did it, but I can't claim ignorance. What I can say is, should have paid a little better attention, I guess.
Thank you.
Okay.
Come on up.
I'm Craig Maddich, 5809 Clearwater Road, Baxter, Minnesota. I got a building down on 823 Brook Street. I shouldn't say I have, my father does. And he's got some cancer, and he's got on a walker, and he's got tubes out of his back. And so I kind of took over what he had going on down there. And you guys have sent letters down there for probably a couple of years with fines. But the building was under contract for deed, so I could not do nothing about it. And I have a police report where they were sending the parked vehicles there with no tabs or nothing on them for a couple of years. They kept sending fines to my father, which on a contract for deed, they're supposed to own the property. The fines should have went to him, but evidently he didn't fulfill his contract and fill it out with the city. So my dad was getting all these fines. Well, one day, he called me and my mom said he's getting too old to handle this stuff, so you want to take it over. So he went in, made out a will to where I had control of all his stuff. So I called the guy that had the deed and I said, you're like $8,000 behind on rent and you got to get these cars out of here because I've already paid like $900 on these cars. Well, he told me to take a hike. Well, I got mad that day. It was on a Sunday. And I called a couple buddies who got trailers down there. I loaded all the cars, and Monday morning I took them to the scrapyard. So then they got me for stolen cars. So then I had to get an attorney, go all to court and all this, and it took me months and months to get it all straightened out. Well, in the meantime, we kept getting fines on the garage. So that was like 7 of 21 when I towed the cars away. Well, by the time I got done through court and everything, I ended up getting it in the 21st of June. I got control of the property. Well, I get in there, and what it was the guy that had it had CarQuest machine shop. So he had everything when CarQuest closed stuffed in this garage, and these and one trailer outside. Well, I had to get the police to come down there, and they had to take pictures of everything. I had to go to court with my attorney and everything. To make a long story short, I ended up with the garage on 7/27 of 2022. And since then, I've hauled out like 6 loads of garbage. I sold all this stuff to a guy down in Albert Lee, and he's been coming up and hauling all the stuff out of there. And I mean, it's big crank turners, so I mean, you got to get a forklift in there to get them out. Make another long story short, I ended up getting everything done the 27th, and since then, I re-roofed it. I put an $18,000 roof on it. I got about $8,000 into it because my kid works at Thielen's. So, and I got pictures of everything on it. I got one of the trailers that they literally cut the wheels off the ground and sat a semi-trailer on the ground, so I had to get the scrap company to come and crank that out of there. And I got one trailer left, and all the stuff would be cleaned out of there. But I was just, like I say, I got pictures of what you guys sent me, and every time they sent me a picture, I called the city and talked to Jason. And he says, well, as long as you're cleaning stuff up and we can prove it, that we won't issue these fines. Well, I keep getting them, and then now tonight it says I got to show up for $875. But I got all the pictures, all the fines, all my cell phone numbers every day that I've had these fines come in that I called the city. I got the number and everything on them. If you guys want to all look at this stuff, or if I need it later or whatever. But I'm saying, like, I did this in 3 months. And I've been working on it every day, every chance I get. So I just don't know what to do, you know, because I talked to Jason. He says, don't worry about it. As long as you're making progress, we'll take care of this. Well, I'm stuck here with the $875, but I got proof that I was taking care of it the whole time that I could. So that's where I'm at.
Excellent, thank you.
Do you guys want the information now, or should I hang on to it? Do you want my police report, or I should take that back too?
Take that back too. Hang on to that. We'll see where this goes, Craig. Anybody else on the 2022 nuisance abatements and the 2021-2022 downtown special services district? And Mr. Kramvik, you've got the 2 that are in our packet that you've already discussed that are also on our list, yes?
They were also on the list as well. Those are staff recommendations.
I'll ask a second time if there's anybody on these. Come on up. State your name and address again, please.
Lois Hensel,
Steve Hensel.
623 Laurel Street.
Thanks for coming.
Yep, this is our third year for these double taxation. So did I understand correctly, we're gonna have another meeting set for November?
Councilmember.
Correct.
November 7th.
So prior to that, we can ask you, one of the things that we want to see, if you can quantify to us what our benefits are. We're being charged for special benefits.
This will be the next.
Okay, that's
Okay.
question, answer one.
So take into consideration that this town has changed. Is that the next meeting also? Because I want to bring up of all the apartments, number of
Yep,
people.
no, first meeting in
Okay.
November.
Okay.
So basically, we can just stand here and let you know that, yes, we
We
did
are-
contest these charges because they've increased over 23% in 1 year.
Okay.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's a hardship. It's a financial hardship, and we
It's-
cannot move forward with trying to invest into this property.
Yeah,
if
this
we
is
keep
paying
getting
for
assessed this, so.
2021, 2022, correct? Yeah.
Correct. But
Yeah.
again, every year another, it's not 5%, it's 20%, 30%. To keep, what's it gonna be in 5 years? What more are we looking
More.
at? More. We're looking, you're doing
Yeah.
pretty good. The city's
I know.
doing really good here and jumping pretty quick. So we would like, some of the
So we'll
discussion we
look
had.
forward to seeing you on the
Thank you.
first meeting in November.
And what we've asked for too is if we can have input in the meetings. We asked last year who was on the committee when we got denied. Could not get an answer.
The
We never-
recommendation last year was actually made prior to the public hearing.
Are you contesting your 20?
All of them.
All of them. And on what grounds?
Was the snow not removed?
Twice it was not late, until quite later. We still haven't got an
The-
answer on.
We keep being told that the reason we're being assessed this extra tax, because that's what it is, it's double taxation, because the city's responsible for removing snow from public streets.
Early.
That's what taxpayer money pays for,
You're
is
not-
for the
you're not
garbage
helping
and the
your
flowers and
case by
things.
not arguing what we're arguing tonight. You're arguing next week's, next
Okay.
time's, and that's,
So-
that doesn't make, I mean, you go ahead. It's
So
your
last
public hearing.
year-
Okay.
But
We came before you and asked for things to be relooked at.
Yep.
And wards 1 and 2 showed and expressed interest in revisiting that and looking at it, and we're going to investigate it. We heard nothing. We got no feedback. We had nobody ask us questions. The assessment came back through that said, we're gonna stand by what we started with, even before you presented your case. So,
We're just looking for some input. We could be with it or hear who was the committee, who isn't, when did it happen, who made the decision and why? A little more than, you owe us $2,700. That's,
I can help you with that. Come to City Hall during business hours.
okay,
They'll get you the minutes.
perfect.
Okay. Anything on last year's assessment you wish to add?
well, yeah, I'd like it back.
It's
think-
it's
I
gone,
think we
again,
got
okay,
that.
the increases are a little more than, what we heard last was 5%, that, it's quite a jump.
Okay.
We did disagree a little bit with again, as we did, and was brought up by others too, the garbage, there's 9 cans. That's a lot of money. Why isn't Park and Rec doing 9 more cans? The watering of the flowers, $15,000 to do them flowers is a lot of money to buy a new Ford pickup and a pump. It's a lot of
So with
money.
last year's response to us via email, so I've got the email. We were told, part of the justification for not removing or amending these special ordinances that have been in place for 30 years, one of the responses was, well, we already have 17 parks and we want to invest into some more, so we can't take on the downtown area, which I don't feel is feasible.
I gotta ask
And we,
a fifth
well,
time.
and one thing to think about too is we are looking at investing a lot into that building. We want to, we need to, it has to happen. These little things like that really hurt. This pull back or something, it really, we want the city to look at that as a grand, that building, and to help, but not just this nickel and dime us, or as we call it, to someone else, well, that's just nothing. Yes, it is, actually, it's quite a bit. It's, to do that.
Well,
And
3 years, $9,500
I'm
on
gonna
top
tell
of
you
taxes.
again, you're making yourselves digging a hole by making this a public hearing on the process, not on last year's assessments. You can continue to do that because it's a public hearing and I'm a nice guy, but you guys don't, it's not making your case look good. I can't speak for the other council, I'm only speaking for myself. You're giving,
To
you
contest-
can, yeah. This is a public hearing on last year's assessment amounts. You've said
And that's
nothing
what it
about
is.
that,
That's what
other
we're
than
saying.
you don't want to pay them.
No, we're telling
Okay.
you, it's a financial hardship.
I know,
and that-
you're
yeah, the
criticizing the
streets-
process, and I understand that. And that public assessment, or public hearing will come at the next meeting. And we'll get to hear it all over again, but it doesn't help your case doing it now. And I'm trying to help you.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
Yeah,
Chairman.
yeah,
Yeah.
thanks, I don't know. what
Okay.
I'm not following.
We'll see you guys early in November. Okay. Anybody else wish to speak on their assessments? Anybody else? Last call. Do we have anybody online, Mr. Strong? No, we do not. All right, thank you. Then we'll close the public hearing at 8:20.
Mr. President,
Yes.
by statute, let's adjourn the public hearing until the next meeting to consider the
Oh,
objections.
thank you very much. Well, you're presuming something by doing that we may actually need to.
Well,
And that motion hasn't been made yet.
well, then we'll have to wait, because you need to, the statute talks about it, if you're going to consider objections, if you're going to consider objections.
Which we did.
Then we're going then to, you may adjourn the hearing.
Then let's leave the public hearing open right now. Can we make a motion during the public hearing?
Sure, that's fine.
Okay. Ms. Stengline, any objections?
Not if the
Okay.
lawyer's good with it.
So we're looking for, on this item, the public hearing is still open. Staff asks that the council still adopt the assessments and start the 30-day payment clock. Contested assessments, if you wish to pull some out and meet for discussion, could be set aside and we could continue the public hearing, as the attorney just said. Does anybody care to take a stab at this?
I have a question.
Yes, Mr. Erickson?
Understanding that, so I've had discussions with one of the property owners on this list, and I was going to recommend pulling one out that was not speaking tonight.
Okay,
So can I would make that motion, and I would like to add a PID number to that as well.
you certainly can.
Okay, so I would move to, move to recommend holding the public hearing to hear testimony for or against the proposed assessments, and also adopt the attached resolution adopting the assessments as proposed for 2021, 2022, with the exception of PID 411915552, 41191107, and then the additional one that I was adding was 413000564.
How about all these other people tonight?
And all of the others with the address. The reason do we need to include those PIDs or just?
No.
All those who we've heard, I would add those as well.
Okay, so we have a motion to adopt the resolution on the 2022 nuisance abatement.
Can we have Joe
2021 and
provide some
22.
direction on this, please?
Provide direction, Joe.
So do we have
I'll second that.
addresses on those three? Do you know what the addresses are?
I don't.
That's fine.
I had the PIDs is all.
Yeah, so the motion is just to pull the listed properties to be heard at the adjourned hearing to be held on November 7th.
And adopt the rest of these.
And adopt the rest of them, correct, yes.
Yep, that's the motion. That's the second. Any discussion?
Mr. President, I have a question about what this PID 413 that,
Yeah, why don't you give us a little more information on that?
So, 1209 Oak Street, is Mr. Timmers, and was slow to respond to city staff initially, and then throughout the process, working with staff, did comply and has put up a fence and made considerable investment in that, has reached out to staff and reached out to myself, and I think by resolving the issue, again, we're looking for resolution, and so I felt in those conversations that I would recommend pulling that one off. So yeah, thank you, I should have clarified.
Any other questions on the motion? Comments on the motion? Questions or comments on the motion? Hearing none, Administrator Berglund, please call the roll.
Stunek.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Beazer.
Yes.
Stengline. Yes. Erickson.
Yes.
O'Day.
Yes.
And Bevins.
Yes. Now, with that motion in the books, we will continue the public hearing on this matter until, is it November 7th?
Yes, Mr. President.
Until November 7th, 2022. Staff, you have your work cut out for you. What, go, what do you, we'll give you your shot. All right, now we're going to take on the additional agenda request by James Cranvick, Community Development Director, on, what is this on? A resolution declaring assessments and ordering public hearing for nuisance abatements. How is this different than what we just did?
different.
Mr. Chair, Community Development Director Crombeck can address that.
Okay, James.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. So staff did discover that there is an additional $26,790 in a nuisance assessments that wasn't on the previous one. So with that, a new resolution must therefore be adopted declaring these costs to be assessed or the preparation of the proposed assessment and call a public hearing on that proposed assessment. So staff does recommend adopting the attached resolution, which declares the cost to be assessed, orders the preparation of the proposed assessment, sets a public hearing on the proposed assessments for November 7th, 2022.
I got it. So these are additional nuisance assessments, no downtown special services assessment. We didn't forget somebody downtown.
That's correct.
Just
nuisances.
Okay. Okay. So, Mr. Cranvick, just let us know what this additional item is. Any discussion or questions of Mr. Cranvick? Go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. President, I'm just wondering how we lost $26,790 of nuisance charges.
Yeah, so there was an issue with the software extraction this year, and it had to do with, we looked into it on Friday afternoon, enforcements that were started before the cutoff date, essentially August 31st of 2021. The nuisance started, but the citations happened afterwards, or the abatements. A lot of these are abatements. So we did since correct that, looked at that, and shouldn't be an issue next year. So that's what we're kind of looking at with this year.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Cranvick on this additional item? Seeing none, staff is recommending adopting the attached resolution, which declares the costs to be assessed, which he just described, orders preparation of the proposed assessment, and sets a public hearing on these assessments for November 7th, 2022 at 7:30 p.m. Is there a motion to
So moved,
adopt?
Johnson.
So moved, Johnson, second by Stunek. Any discussion? Hearing none, Administrator Bergen, please call the roll.
Stunek.
Yes.
Johnson. Beazer.
Yes.
Stengline.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
O'Day.
Yes.
And Bevins.
Yes, so I have lots of more contact with citizens. Happy citizens. Next up is item, which is now C, committee resignation, David Haynes Rental Dwelling Board of Appeals. Is there a motion to accept with regret?
So moved.
Motion
Second.
by Stengline, second by Erickson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Well, it passed by 2. Item D is a call for applicants. Mr. Mayor.
All right, the following applications are available at ci.brainerd.mn.us/boards. We are looking for committee members for the following commissions. Charter Commission, 1 term expiring 2028, 1 term expiring 2025. Rental Dwelling License Board of Appeals, 3 terms expiring 2022, I believe that should say now. Library Board, 1 term expiring 2023. We also have the EDA, 1 term expiring 2027, and 1 term expiring 2026.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Note I have no spots to fill. Maybe
Aren't
a
you
couple
lucky?
more energy drinks will help you out there. Next up is item 8, public forum, time allocated for citizens to bring matters not on the agenda to the attention of the council. We usually ask you to keep it to 3 to 5 minutes. Welcome, Mr. Marone.
Hi, Mr. President. Chuck Marone, 616 North 4th Street. You all have kept saying throughout this entire process that I have a property line dispute with my neighbor. I don't have a property line dispute with my neighbor. I have a property line dispute with all of you. When I bought my property, 616 North 4th, I went and looked and saw, do I have any property monuments? No, I do not.
This is an agenda item, right?
No, this is not an agenda item.
Okay.
I'm speaking under public forum.
I understand.
This is not an agenda item.
Kind of was on safety and public works, but keep going.
Well, I didn't get a chance to speak there beyond 60
All right.
seconds.
Okay.
I went out and looked. I have no property monuments. Like every property in North Brainerd. We were in a platted in 1871. There's no property monuments. How do you transfer property when there's no property monuments? How do you write a title? How do you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars? How do you secure property? Well, there's a very simple process that is used. If we go out and do a survey of this lot, what will happen is that a surveyor will go out and use the best available evidence. That is essentially the curb lines. They'll go out and they'll establish what the entire lot is. They will then, or the entire block is. They will then go out and allocate the space based on the plat to the units there. Let's say that there's 400 feet on the plat, but only 396 feet between the curb. Everybody gets shorted 1 foot. That's how they will do it when they allocate that. They then go out and say, okay, are there established boundaries here? Are there fence lines? Are there established properties? Is there agreement on where things are? And they will sign quitclaim deeds. They'll write quitclaim deeds to establish the property lines where the existing fence lines are. I have fence lines that have been in for decades and decades and decades on this property. It's very clear where the lot lines are. Beyond that, if there is a dispute, if someone won't sign a quitclaim deed, if you were going to put pins in, there's an adverse possession claim that can be made. I got a legal opinion before I went and bought the lot that your lot lines are secured. After I bought the lot, within a month, I came in and built an additional fence along the lot line in dispute. When I did that, I had to get the signature of the neighboring property owner. We agreed, the prior property owner and I agreed on where the fence line was. There's a letter in your file saying exactly where the lot line is. My neighbor now comes into City Hall and says, I want to build a fence. Your city staff does not require a survey, okay. They do not require the property owner to come out and talk to me and get an agreement on where the lot line is. What your staff does is say, hey, we're going to look at a map and we're going to tell you where the lot line is. And the lot line is actually 3.5 feet north of the existing fence line. Why does your staff do that? Why does your staff think they're surveyors? Why does your staff think they can give boundary line information to people? Since that point, we have had a dispute with my neighbor. I don't have a dispute with my neighbor. I have a dispute with you. You told him the property line was not where it is. You had no basis to do that, no evidence to do that, no suggestion to do that. My neighbor went out and built a fence on my property, and now you've said, well, we don't know where the lot line is, so we can't do anything about it. At the Planning Commission meeting, we had an agreement. The agreement was the neighbor either identify with the survey where the lot line is, or they move the fence 6 inches south of the existing fence line. That's stupid. It's silly. I totally agree with you. But they will not agree where the lot line is now. You all have created a problem. The interest of the city is having properties to be secure, have people agree on lot lines, be able to transfer property between. You have created a big mess on my property. I do not have a dispute with my neighbor. I have a dispute with all of you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak in public forum? It appears to be anything you want to tonight. Nobody's online? Then we will close the public forum at 8:35 and move on to item 9, staff reports. We'll start with Chris Hubert. Nothing? Anything from the attorney's office, Joe?
Not tonight, thank you.
Community development, Mr. Kramvik.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. So I did want to add a few things. I'll kind of briefly talk about it. It was in my director's report, but we are seeing kind of an influx of redevelopment within the city. I did want to mention that within the last few weeks here, we've issued a 4-plex permit, 3 duplexes, as well as 2 single-family homes. This is pretty significant compared to other years. Typically, besides Habitat, there maybe be 1 infill property. So between that and some of the remodels we're certainly seeing redevelopment as well as new construction within the city that already has existing infrastructure. The second thing, I'll just briefly talk to council. The next planning commission meeting, Vicki Kinney, on behalf of My Neighbor to Love Coalition, submitted an application to replat 11 lots into 4 larger lots. So this will be discussed at the planning commission meeting. The final plat is contingent upon the alley vacation that was talked at council tonight. They also submitted 2 conditional use permits for the construction of a 12-plex and boarding house above a health center. The conditional use permits will be contingent upon approval of the final plat, so there's a lot of steps to that. The Planning Commission will also discuss the design standards for industrial properties, seeing if it's in the best interest on industrial properties on thoroughfares as well as properties that are further off essentially some of the main roads. And the last item that we're going to be discussing is code language related to the moratorium that we put in place with concerns about demolition of single-family homes, making them into green space and parking space. So 5 items on the next Planning Commission agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Kramvik. Mr. Dean, anything from City Engineering Public Works?
Yes, sir, Mr. President. A couple quick ones. Even though it's cold, we're still making progress on a few of our projects. So the PD cold storage building started getting some of the walls put up today. So that was nice to see that framing go up. The electrical at the Street and Parks addition down there at the existing building, the electrical is done. So we just need to get the mechanical done, and we're hopefully going to be able to inhabitate that area a little bit sooner than we're potentially looking at. And then the Cayuga Lakes Trail project, the paving is kind of completed on that one. So essentially that trail is kind of open and ready to go for use outside of a few cleanup things and stabilization.
Thank you. Finance Director Hillman? Nothing tonight? IT Director, GIS Director Strong?
One quick blurb. Charter Spectrum was finally able to get a piece of hardware they've been waiting for almost a year on. So it was installed last Thursday, and they said 75 days to make the channel after that. So about New Year's, we might be on Charter Cable.
This year, coming year, or when?
This year, 2022, yes.
Gotta hang on, Chief. You can make it.
I don't know.
Chief Bestel? Nothing. Administrator Bergman?
Just a couple of quick things, Mr. President, Mayor, members of the council. The EDA did meet last week, made recommendations to the Initiative Foundation for 33 grants. This includes the $80,000 that the council provided to the EDA in ARPA funds, as well as $20,000 in HRA funds. The EDA also conducted a strategic planning session to revisit their goals and action steps, and did determine new goals and action steps for 23 and 24. Those will be on the November EDA agenda for their consideration. Last week I went to Community Focus. Chief Holmes joined me, attended the River to Rail meeting, attended the Fire Department open house last week, which was very chilly and lots of kids having lots of fun. And then also the Great Pumpkin Festival on Saturday, also a little chilly with a lot of kids having a lot of fun. And then last, but certainly not least, I just want to give a big congratulations to Chief Tim Holmes on his selection as the 2022 Fire Officer of the Year. Chief Holmes was nominated by Joe Rubato, Chief Bestel, and Baxter Chief Exted. The association said they were overwhelmed by the number of nominations that they received, and they selected Chief Holmes as their Officer of the Year. He will be honored at their conference. I believe it's this Thursday night.
The banquet is Friday.
Thank you, Chief.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, we'll keep
giggles.
it. Yeah, we'll keep it brief.
Mr.
Well, that's
President?
enough.
Eric. Sure.
Eric. Stepping on my toes again, Eric.
Eric Charpentier.
Mr. President. Thank you.
He just turned on to say aye.
Good for you. That was the right decision to make. I'm going to continue what I was saying. First of all, I want to say congratulations to the Parks Department and Katie for a fantastic Great Pumpkin Festival once again. Freezing cold. It just froze the mayor's feet off. But it was a really fun event, as always, and my kids especially really enjoy that event. So thank you for that, Katie, and the entire park department. Secondly, some of you today were at a groundbreaking ceremony for the historic water tower. Kelly's been wearing this wonderful vest the
Just
entire
in
time.
case.
Just in case. Groundbreaking ceremony for the water tower. We got to witness the crane putting in the scaffolding for the construction that will be taking place. They're saying about 5 weeks they're expecting for the work that'll happen in there. What is happening is the scaffolding is being put in. There is some brick that will be removed down about 6 feet, I believe it is. And then we're putting in steel for the structure, and then that roof that will be lined in there as well. So they're saying about 5 weeks. It was freezing cold down at the bottom of the tower today, so I'm assuming that it is not much warmer up at the top of the tower. But hopefully that will go very, very smooth. And we just want to thank everyone involved for the long process that it has taken to get us here. This is not done. We still have a lot more to do. That stucco is going to be a process unto itself, also a very expensive process. So just want to make sure the public is aware of that the preservation of the water tower is not complete. However, the roof will put us in a position where we are no longer looking at structural damage, and that wonderful structure should be able to continue. So thank you to everyone involved. Thank you to all the donors, and thank you to those of you that showed up today. Beezer, I saw you. Bevins, I saw you. Jennifer, I saw you. Saw you over there, Jesse. Attaboy. Some of the other ones I did not see. End of report.
When your shoes were freezing at the Great Pumpkin.
I got a pair of spare turnout boots if you want to borrow them.
My shoes looked fantastic while my feet were freezing at the Pumpkin Festival.
Mr. Johnson, let's start off with you.
All right, I have three things. I just want to give a tip of the cap to City Engineer Dean. He did get on order 27 trees that will be planted on College Drive and one on 10th Street North. So we're getting trees. Probably not this fall, but they're on order. We'll get them in the spring. We're getting trees. A little wag of the finger to the Initiative Foundation. When the grant denials went out, they drafted an email that was entirely 100% false and then signed my name to it without even letting me review the email. Like they said, you guys did not get the grant, you're never going to get a grant, go away. When in reality, there will be some more money coming in, there will be some money coming back, and some of the people who didn't get the initial round of funding will be eligible for funds in the future. We will keep your application on file, anybody who was denied. I apologize profusely for the Initiative Foundation for their profound error. And then, finally, the Wild, almost the end of the second period, we've only given up 3 goals, so we might only give up 5 goals tonight, boys. This is exciting. This is defense.
You're complaining about government in action, I think. Mr. Stunek.
I also went to the open house and sat in a big red fire truck. It was fun. That's the end of my report.
Alderwoman Stenglein.
Well, if you
I
want-
thought he'd make a comment. He usually does.
Nothing from me.
Thank you, Chairman Mike O'Day.
Pumpkin Festival, great. Firefighter open house, great. Congratulations, Tim Holmes. He's not here right now. I want to say that in meeting with the project management team for the highway, I am now more confident than ever that the vision for our 2026 project at this point for the 210 highway coming through town it's getting really close. Had a great meeting last week. We'll meet again with MnDOT, and then we'll probably meet again with MnDOT and again with MnDOT. But I think we're finally getting there. So, good things ahead.
Thank you. Mr. Beazer?
Nothing to add, sir.
Mr. Erickson?
Just a fourth shout out for the Great Pumpkin Festival. I had the kiddos there, did some horseback riding. I participated in a 3-legged race, kept me a little bit warmer than I would have been. But yeah, thanks to Katie and the park staff for pulling that off.
Thank you. And I also attended the fire department open house. That was a lot of fun. The Pumpkin Fest, the water tower, groundbreaking, and I live at the park, so Park United Methodist celebrated 150th this year. That was kind of a big, exciting thing for the whole city of Brainerd. That being said, that ends the reports, and we're looking for a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
By Stunek, second by Stengline. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. We're out.
What you got for me? Look at this.